When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA.
Hi, I'm T2 and I support GenXGrownUp through Patreon because they're super gentle to my wires and boards. I think you should too. Go to patreon.com/GenXGrownUp.
GenXGrownUp is a YouTube channel, website, and audio podcast you're listening to right now. All made for and by people who love exploring media, games, tech, and toys of yesterday and today through the eyes of Gen Xers who refuse to grow up.
Your dinner cannot just be french fries. Basically, life sucks as a grown-up.
Welcome back, GenXGrownUp podcast listeners, to this episode 188 of the GenXGrownUp podcast. I am John. Joining me, as always, of course, is George. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Wouldn't be a show without Mo. How you doing, Mo?
Doing good, man.
In this episode, we watch a British TV series that challenges some of the funniest comics to keep a straight face, bust out the bricks for an adorable Star Wars icon you can construct with Lego, and we break out Atari's latest reimagining of its ball and paddle arcade classic. We're going to have those topics and many more in this episode. But first, it is time for some fourth listener email. Look, the three of us on the show, we're liable to listen. If anybody else takes time to listen and drops us an email about it, you are our fourth listener. And the fourth listener this time around is longtime fourth listener, Brandon G. He hit us up with an email, the subject line, 321 contact and the previous episode.
Okay.
He starts it off by going, hey guys, I'm pulling a George here and mentioning two things in my email. Okay. First, the 321 contact episode was awesome. I watched that show while playing with my toys on the living room floor, and revisiting it through your episode brought a smile to my face. Awesome show with an earworm of a theme song. Yeah, as we said. Now, about the episode a week earlier. When it came to the What I'm Looking Forward To segment, George rose above and beyond. Shows and movies and games are one thing, but his update about his wife and her amazing progress after her health issues was an awesome thing to hear. We remember that one, George. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You've been gradually giving us little updates on your wife's health challenges, and it's awesome to hear the progress. He goes on to say he put forward so much love and positivity. Damn good thing I listened to the podcast privately because it brought tears to my eyes. I'm sure I can speak for all GXG listeners when I say continued well wishes for her health and progress, and also, as always, the best of wishes to you three guys, Brandon. How nice, Brandon. Yeah,
that was really nice.
It's nice that not only was he pulling a George, but he had talk a little bit about you, George. So right. Since Brandon brings it up, how's the wife doing? Quick update. Yeah, I know we haven't talked about it in a few weeks, just to give Brandon a little more to cry about.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing well. We're moving down, all the different therapy session routes. So hopefully everything will just continue. She's getting much better and better at free walking, which is without any assisted devices. And
that's awesome.
She's getting to the point where she can maybe start doing some of her old routine stuff around the house. And every time she gets to do something like that, of course, it makes her happier that she's getting back to her normal life. So
Another little victory. That's good to hear. Yep. Cool. All right, Brandon, thank you so much for dropping us a line, for listening to the show. We know you've been a long time listener, and we're glad that both of those things and many more have give you things to think about and things to hit you right in the feels. We'd like to be able to do that for you. If you would like your email featured here on the show, it is drop dead easy. Just hit us up at podcast@GenXGrownUp.com, where we read every single one, and most of them will eventually, just like Brandon's, make the show. All right, with that good business in the rearview mirror, we're going to jump into the body of episode 188 after this quick break.
It's time for basketball, and Uber Eats is dropping deals on game day favorites to keep you locked in on the action. Like when you're craving a buzzer beater, but also buffalo wings. Or when an upset makes you want to ugly cry into a pizza. And right now, Uber Eats has game day deals from McDonald's, Popeyes, Pizza Hut, Wendy's, and hundreds more local favorites. So you can keep your eyes on the ball and your hands on a hamburger. Order now, only on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
You're listening to Gen X Grown Up. But if you have a friend who's not yet listening, why not? Tell them about us. They'll thank you later.
Saturday, the team gets some help from the spirit world to catch a killer. You can't be there! Mission impossible. Then, a disabled witness to murder.
He's scared, he's alone, he's deaf.
Get some new eyes and ears from a man called Hawk. Following Mission Impossible Saturday.
Find Harvey.
Have you tried calling his friends?
You guys are his friends.
Harvey showed me the Polaroids.
Men?
All right, get the ball rolling here at the top of the show, of course, talking about media we have been enjoying since we last spoke. Now, this could be television or movies or film or comics or music or whatever you've been enjoying. And George, why don't we kick it off with you? What have you been watching?
Well, actually, a show, I think it was on one of your looking forwards to a little while back. It's the new Suits spinoff called Suits LA.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost fell susceptible, or I find myself susceptible, I guess. And I almost fell to this feeling of, oh, that's not the original. I'm not going to watch it because it's not going to be as good, or it's just a money grab, or whatever feelings I have. And every time I start to feel that, I remind myself of the Battlestar Galactica reimagining fiasco, where I didn't watch it for like a season and a half or 2 seasons or something like that before I finally started watching it and found one of the best sci-fi series ever put on television.
Oh, yeah, by far.
So I didn't want to let myself fall into that trap this time, so I decided to go ahead and watch it. There were 4 episodes, I think, at the point when I started watching it, and I ended up watching all 4 in the same day. It's very well put together. It's got a really fun and interesting cast. A couple of people of note. It has the guy who played Green Arrow in the CW Arrow universe. Stephen Amell is in it. He's the lead. And then it also has, and I can't remember the actor's name, but it's got the guy who played Eugene in the Walking Dead series.
Oh, yeah.
Now, oddly enough, he plays like the exact opposite role from what he did in Walking Dead. Walking Dead, he was, idiot savant, country boy kind of character. In this, he is this cutthroat, nasty, super intelligent lawyer guy who is kind of Stephen Amell's equal, and they kind of butt heads a lot. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in the first episode. They do tie in the original Suits series because both of those characters knew each other and started together in New York before they, quote, moved to LA, which is where the new series takes place. It's got a lot of high drama, as you might imagine. It starts right off with a season through storyline of a major court case going on with everybody that's involved. Plus, every episode has other different subplots that happen and get wound up in that one particular episode.
Oh, okay.
Very well written, very well acted. It's not the same as the original Suits. You don't have the character who is like the heir apparent, super like memory guy that doesn't belong as a lawyer, but is a good lawyer because he has a good heart. It doesn't quite have that character, but it does have protege characters on both sides of the fence. It's got a forlorn love interest character, and it's got a guy who is like he's repulsive and yet likable in the same way as the person who the court case is centered around. So,
yeah.
It's a very good show. I really like it. I don't know if either of you two have watched it yet, but when you do have a chance to binge whatever episodes they're up to, because this is weekly episodic TV, it's not, dumped all at once. So you do, once you watch the however many episodes are out when you watch this, you're going to have to wait for at least a period of time before the next episode comes out.
I know a lot of people are bananas about the original Suits, which I never watched, but I know it's widely enjoyed. It's about a bunch of attorneys in New York City, and all takes place over there. And I know this is a spinoff. I'm curious, not knowing much about the first one, how is it connected? Like, is it happening at the same time? Is it later in time? Are there any character crossovers? Are they aware of each other? Or is it just like, think of like CSI, like those kind of happen in their own little bubble. And rarely is there any kind of acknowledgement of CSI Miami versus CSI, wherever the heck the other ones are. How does this one connect back to the first one?
So in one of the episodes, there is a couple of historical flashback scenes that bring in the main character from the original Suits, Gabriel Mock's character. So he and Stephen Amell know each other through the lawyer New York circles. Like I said, all of the actors that are the two main lawyers in this show now, they started off in New York. They were in that New York law scene, so they all kind of knew each other, because it's not like they were the bus bench, ambulance chaser lawyer crowd. They were the top echelon. Stephen Amell's character was actually a prosecutor in New York. And now when he moves to LA, he is an entertainment lawyer. So it's a completely different mindset, but there's a reason why he's no longer a prosecutor. The other character, he was, I forgot what type of lawyer he was, mostly contract law and stuff, but he becomes like the best defense lawyer in the country. So yeah, it's got some ties back to the original New York scene. They do have those couple of scenes in that one episode with Gabriel Mock. I imagine we'll probably see some more here and there. And that might mean that when we get to see flashbacks that help inform the current story, we see other characters from the original Suits series. I know everyone is really wanting to see Louis Litt back, because that was a beloved character from the original series. But we'll just have to wait and see. It's very early on. I think on just the strength of the first 5 episodes or so that I've watched, they deserve at least a second season at this point. It's that well done. Beyond that, I couldn't say.
Cool. All right. Something more to check out.
Yeah. Very cool.
Mo, what about you? You watching anything interesting?
Yeah, it's a new show. Well, actually, it's a new version of a show that's already out there. It's called Last One Laughing. I don't know if you guys heard of this or not. They did one version in Canada. They did a version in I forget what other country, but they have a UK version now. And the premise of the show is basically they take 10 comedians, like in this case, British comedians, put them in a room or a little stage area, set area, and the last one to laugh wins. So
last one, so basically the last one not laughing, really, it should be called.
Right. Oh yeah, the last one to not laugh at all. And so like Richard Ayoade is in it. Like I'm sure you know him from IT Crowd
guy.
Jimmy Carr. Like I said, if you're at all into contemporary British comedy at all, you would know like every single person who's on this. They've been on TV shows. They've been all over the place. And it's funny because sometimes like it's not even the jokes that are funny that makes it entertaining. It's watching these comedians trying not to laugh at each other while trying to make the other comedians laugh. So it's like, I guess because they're trying to make each other laugh, it's not, they don't necessarily do like their normal kind of comedy. They're trying to like surprise people and do things they wouldn't expect. Right off the bat, they're like, Richard Ayoade, they're like, he's the man to beat because his whole shtick is not being emotional. That's his whole thing. And of course, he plays that character like really well in this, and he just throws these one-liners out every now and then. He'll just say, like, how his comedy is. He just throws this bizarre statement out, and you just see these comedians like they'll have like turn around and have to walk away from him. They'll have to like, you see him starting to eat something, like trying not to smile or laugh. And they have a couple cute premises in this. Like each one has a set that Jimmy Carr, who's the host, he has cameras like everywhere. He's watching everything. And he'll say, okay, so-and-so, go do your set. And they have a little stage, curtain opens, the comedian will do the set, and everybody has to watch it. You have no choice. You have to sit in these couches and you have to watch this set. And they have these preset comedy things where you're just trying to make each other just, they're doing their best just to do their funniest stuff just to try to make people crack up. And sometimes it gets a little mean because they'll see somebody's like starting to lose it and they'll all just like gang up on that person. Like they'll all just start like poking that person, and eventually you have to have 2 outs. Like the first time you laugh, it's a yellow card, like in soccer. Second time you get the red card, you're out. And then you go get to sit with the host in the room and watch everybody else, and they make comments about people. It's 6 episodes. And the whole day is 6 hours long. The whole thing takes 6 hours. So that's the maximum time it takes. So it's all one continuous thing. And at the end, one person is left remaining and everybody else is just, like I said, some people they lost in the first hour. Like there's no way in hell they could keep a straight face at all. But again, that was like the fun part of it. It was like, and they're not even doing it for money. It's more just for like who can do it kind of thing.
So they're in the room just for entertainment value. They're not like competing to win a prize or whatever. You said that like they would team up on each other.
There's a trophy.
Oh, okay. Bragging rights for a comic.
Yeah, bragging
I guess,
rights.
Maybe. Okay.
I'm sure they get some exposure, right, as well. And they do a mix. Like some of the comedians are kind of like they're like the veterans of the comedy scene there, and they get a couple new people. And then they have someone in the middle, like Richard Ayoade and some others who are kind of in the middle area, And then they'll throw like surprise guests will pop on like just out of nowhere. Like some famous actor will come on. Like there was a show called like the East Enders, which I don't know if you watch British TV.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's like a gangster kind of movie. And they had the main guy come in there, and they had somebody go up there and they played like this whole tough guy scene together. And again, they're all just trying not to laugh because he's like, I'll tongue you, like tongue you. What the hell? Where'd that come from? And just these random lines they'll do and stuff. Like I said, it was very funny, very entertaining. It's easy digestible. It's like half-hour episodes.
Yeah.
Only 6 of them. You can bridge the whole thing like really fast because you want to see who's the next one out. Again, really, really funny show.
Right.
And that's what I have. So, John, you saw a movie that I have not seen yet. And
okay.
I want to know if I want to or not. So
yeah,
hit me with it.
Sure. Well, for starters, you'll want to see it. So we'll start right there and make that easy for you. So the film that I saw was one of, I think, 20 new films that Jack Quaid has been in over the last year. He's just everywhere. He's in so many things. The Jack Quaid film called, what was the other one? There was the AI one a couple weeks ago that I saw that was really good.
Yeah.
Perfect Partner, Mate, whatever it was. Anyway,
yeah.
What I'm talking about here is Novocaine. And this is very much, he is the star of this show. The premise is pretty simple. He is a guy that has a very real clinical condition. I forget what it's called, but the point is he cannot process or feel pain. Like he can feel, pressure and he can sense things. Just pain is not something that his body processes. And in the first 60 seconds, as they're going through the opening credits and kind of the introduction music and they're starting up, I could tell already the way this film is set up that I was going to enjoy it, because just the way the set pieces are set up in a way that you're hinting at what kind of problems he has in his life. Like on his desk, he has a pencil cup and these pencils are in it, but every pencil has like a little piece of Play-Doh on it so he doesn't poke himself, because if he did, he wouldn't know it, right? What happens is he's an assistant manager at a bank and the bank gets robbed. Criminal activity comes in. These guys in masks come in. A guy actually gets killed. Terrible things happen. And a girl who he's only just met and is falling head over heels with is taken as a hostage. And now he's decided that because the police are so far away, he's a super timid guy. He's always very cautious his life because of his condition. He's going to set out and try to rescue this girl from these bank robbers. And it isn't the kind of like Jason Statham sort of he's a badass and therefore he can do all this crazy stuff. It's just that he can endure so much punishment because he's not getting worn down by pain that takes place.
Oh, jeez.
In an very early scene, you start to realize the things that he can't sense. He goes to a diner with this girl and says, "You ought to try the pie." And he's like, "No, I'll just have a shake." And he's like, "This is the best pie in town." He's like, "No, I can't have the pie because if I bite the pie, I might bite my tongue off and not know it, because everything he does is a smoothie or something." And so he's going outside of his comfort zone. He tries this pie, and that's like the beginning of this journey of coming out of his shell. It goes through this process of, there's the several bank robbers and he has to go through them and encounter this bank robber. If you saw the trailer for it, he's in a kitchen scene. He grabs a gun out of a deep fryer, and there's so much disbelief that you must suspend to watch this because, he's not feeling pain, but his body is getting beaten up. He's getting worn down. At one point, he does like an adrenaline shot or something, at least to give him energy, but he doesn't. He's absolutely getting stabbed, cut, punched, kicked, in car wrecks, all this sort of stuff. He keeps going through it. And it's Jack Quaid is so likable in this that you feel the pain for him. You're like, it hurts me to see you get hurt that way or get hit that way or endure it, even though he's not feeling the pain, but you feel the danger that he's in.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the trailer where like he does things like sticks his hand in boiling oil.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm watching that, I'm like, okay, granted, you may not feel the pain, but that's going to do some muscle damage you're not going to be able to do stuff with. Yep. But, you know, again, that's not the premise of the movie. I could totally like go with it, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I tell you one thing, he has definitely cornered the nice guy role like out there. He's a nice guy. He's just like the nice guy. And then they try to twist on it, but, you know, he's definitely cornered that.
I'd say it's he and Bill Pullman, and it's interesting that it's two sons of two famous actors that have kind of cornered that likable, kind of reserved, quiet guy role in a lot of things. Bill Pullman, you know, we saw him recently in the Top Gun Maverick movie a few years ago as just Bob, right? And now you got Jack Quaid. You know, he got really popular with the Boys series, of course, and now he's doing these types of roles. I like to see these multi-generational acting families when they have a good run, because so often they don't, right? So often they get put in roles and they're not very good, or they obviously don't have the same work ethic that their parents did. And you're just like, oh, really? I got to watch this person because what their last name is right. But not with these two guys. They're both really
You're a
talented.
Baldwin, you're a Sheen, whatever you can. You're automatically,
Yeah, when you're the fifth Hemsworth down the line, I'm done with you. But these guys have put in the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a film, it is, I will say, this won't ruin anything. You know, they say, don't tell me about the twist. In fact, don't tell me there is a twist, because that was a twist in and of itself. There's a cool, it's not a twist like a Shyamalanian twist. There is a story beat. There's a bend, a corner that it takes that I totally didn't see coming, which is wonderful in a film these days. Yeah, it wasn't like super foreshadowed or set up crazy, which it changes the movie about a third of the way through, which is great. And I don't remember the running time, but I feel like the movie had two endings. It could easily have ended about 20 minutes from the end, but they decided to kick it into high gear one more time. And you know the deal. You know what it looks like. You know, there's the music kind of swells up, and seems like they've resolved everything and everything is cool. But wait, something happens. It's one of those things.
Jason's still alive.
One more action sequence has to be done, but it does pay off, and it has a satisfying ending, and it's almost one of those cool unicorn movies of like, you can't really do this again. Like, this has been done. Everything else is going to be, it's a Novocaine copy, but it's an interesting premise to go through. So to circle back to your original question, Mo, do you still want to see it? You definitely do. You definitely do. It's a great film. Jack Quaid is awesome in it. The supporting cast is pretty good throughout. And it was for the kind of movie that it had to be, with literally a one sentence premise. Guy that can't feel pain has to rescue his girlfriend from the bad guys. That's all the setup. It didn't have to be this involved or interesting, but it was way more than it needed to be. And that's refreshing in films you see these days. So, all right. Novocaine with Jack Quaid. That's mine. All right. We'll be back.
Awesome.
Stick around.
Lowe's knows member-only doorbuster deals make SpringFest savings even better. Right now, rewards members can get 3 19.3-ounce Bonnie Plants vegetables and herbs for just $10. Plus, save $50 on a Charbroil Performance Series 4-burner grill, now $149. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/7, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location, subject to change. While supplies last. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online, Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
Be sure to subscribe to or follow Gen X Grown Up wherever you listen. And while you're there, rate and review the show too. It helps more than you know.
They call him Trader Rick.
My mom gave me something you're gonna love.
Because he always trades the wholesome snacks his mom puts in his lunchbox for someone else's snack.
I'm giving 2 for 1 today. Hi,
Then Trader Rick's mom discovered Mott's Fruit Packs. Mott's applesauce, an original, natural cinnamon, and 4 luscious fruit combinations.
Pretty Trader Rick. Just call me Rick.
Mott's Fruit Packs, the best thing that ever happened to a kid's lunchbox.
I'm going to kick off Tekken Toys this time because basically I got, for my birthday was, last month. And so I had a present that I was just able to do last weekend. It's one of those kind of delayed things. And
experience present, something.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the thing is like, as we get older, like I said, it's like me and Amy are definitely focused more on giving each other like experiences, and even our family, we tell them like, we'd rather have like a nice experience than a thing at this point in our lives. Right. Sure. We got enough stuff essentially. So what they got me is it's one of these supercar driving experience things, where you get to go to a track. I went to one in Central Florida, and I got to drive 2 supercars around a track.
Oh, yeah.
And it was very cool. The track itself was like 1.25 miles around, and I got to do like 5 laps in each car. And these are cars I will never, ever own. I guarantee that at this point in my life. I will probably never sit in ever again, either way. And, one was a Ferrari and one was a Lamborghini. And let me tell you, it was fun. I wasn't sure what to expect, and I decided to like, what the hell? I'm 58 at this point. If I wreck, so what? I lived a good life. You
had a good run.
I had a good run. I'll go with this, because some people I saw were taking the cars, and we actually saw one person who was just taking it so leisurely, and I'm like, what the hell? Why even bother? I'm like, I could do that in the minivan. I could go that fast. So as soon as I got into the car, I just floored the crap. And they have someone who sits with you, and they kind of help you, like, okay, you want to brake here, you want to hit that spot, that kind of thing. So as soon as I started, I just hit the gas and just see how fast I go. In this short period of time, I think one of the cars had 0 to 60 in like 2.2 seconds. I hit that. It does do that. I can confirm that. And it was just fun just seeing how fast you could take these things. Apparently, the guy told me, as though it felt really, really fast to me, he's like, we prefer, we have people who take that curve 30 miles faster than you did, and I'm like, geez, I can't even imagine how that would even feel. But it was, like I said, it was a great experience, and it was a lot of fun just to do it.
What kind of speeds are we talking about? I mean, what's the 30 miles faster? How fast? How you talk about the acceleration, which I know is exhilarating. It's like a roller coaster, but you're in charge of it kind of thing. Like, were you going consistently like 120 or something? What kind of speeds were they letting you take on these laps?
So the track only had a few short straights. So honestly, the fastest I could get to was like 80 something miles an hour, like in a very short period of time. But and it had curves, had hairpins, it had, all that kind of stuff. So, but I was taking curves that I would never imagine taking at like 60.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a NASCAR circle track.
No, it was not a circle track. It was actually more of a Grand Prix with left and right turns.
Okay.
And taking some of these curves, you feel like kind of like a Formula One kind of thing. You're taking these left and rights, and you has little hills you have to go over and stuff. But just the idea that I was sitting taking this curve, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go until this guy next to me tells me you're going too fast. I should just see if I could do that. Never did. He's just sitting there. He's like sitting there just calmly in the seat next to me. One guy was actually on his phone texting. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not scaring him either very much.
This guy's a chicken and only going 80 around the corners. So
I know exactly.
Asleep.
These are cars I'll never, ever own or drive. Right. And tell you the truth, I don't want to own one of these ever in my life. I have no purpose to ever own one of these things. But again, just for a one-time experience, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, could see that.
Yep. So, George, you actually have a toy now that we can actually purchase and buy. So that's pretty awesome. What do you got?
Sure. Well, I mean, I did not buy this toy nor purchase it. It was a birthday gift, just like your experience was. But it is a toy, so to speak. It's a Lego set, and it's
awesome.
The Grogu with hover pram. So the hover pram is his little bassinet thing from the first couple of seasons.
Like floaty egg deal?
The little
floaty egg bassinet.
Yeah.
It's the Lego number is 75403. I only say that because Lego numbers are very important for the people who collect and build the sets. But this set, I went and did a little bit of looking it up, because it's actually two pieces. It's Grogu himself, which can stand alone by himself, and then the hover pram also, which that same Grogu can then fit inside.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
you build them separately. Like there's two separate build booklets for each piece, and you start like bags 1 through 4 or 5, I think, are Grogu, and then like 6 through 11 are the hover pram, and then there's one of those little placards for these nicer sets that you build that has a little description. Unlike my Iron Man placard set that I got a number of years ago, though, this one, the little Lego placard part, it was pre-printed. It wasn't a sticker that I put on a Lego piece, which was nice, I thought, because I tore the one for the Iron Man one and had to put it back together properly. And even the placard and its little base plate that it has a stand for, they even give you a little mini hover pram and Grogu that you build that sets on that. So you kind of get
cute.
3 little pieces. All total, it takes, I would say, probably 2 hours worth of total build time, although I did it over a couple of days just when I could. The Grogu part is very fun. I know what I read on some of the brick building websites that the hover pram, people complain about it being samey. I didn't. I felt like there were a lot of unique connection points and a lot of pivoting stuff to make the curves around the hover pram, which was nice. It definitely feels, though, like Lego had to build some special pieces, because I don't think I've ever seen some of these pieces in the wild of anything else before. But that's to be expected when you're trying to get specific shapes to recreate something that's as iconic as Grogu and his little bassinet. So a totally fun build. I don't know what it costs. I haven't looked at it or anything. I know there's a link that Mo can put in the show notes and people can find out. But as a gift, it was a perfect, fun couple of hours for me to spend building.
So when it's done, sometimes you look on the cover of these nice boxes, you know, in the store, and they look like they're bigger or smaller than they might be. And sometimes you get all these pieces together, you're like, oh, that's only. So how big is it when it's done? I guess you can put Grogu in it or not or whatever with the placard.
Grogu himself is probably 6 or so inches tall and probably 3 inches wide. You know, he's a little stocky fellow. The hover pram is probably 9 or maybe 9.5 inches long and probably 4 or 5 inches wide. It's not huge.
Right.
Definitely not. If you get any of the Grogu in his little bassinet plushies, it's smaller than those.
Oh, okay.
Got it. Okay.
So some people might feel like that it turns out smaller than they expect from the box, but it's still a pretty piece. It's still fun. It's certainly not like the Atari 2600, 2,700 pieces or whatever. It's nothing like that. Like I said, this is only a couple hours worth of build.
Sure.
Yeah. Just from taking a quick look at it, one thing I definitely like the idea that the Grogu fits inside of it as is. I think that's a cool, nice thing you do. And it looks like there's a little bit of mechanical things like moving the arms and stuff.
Yeah, on his back, there's 2 little dials that get built into him, and those little flywheel dials, when you move them up or down, his arms can move up or down. His head also swivels.
Is that like him using the Force kind of thing, maybe? Is that...
Yeah. His head also swivels and his ears can pivot. So you can put him in different
nice. Like
poses.
More than a statue then. Nice.
Yeah. He comes with a frog and a couple of cookies.
Cool.
That's cute.
Of course.
Nice touch.
And I think what I like about him interacting with the bassinet, the hover pram, is that he doesn't have to lock into it. Like there's not like a place where you have to get his feet positioned perfectly to snap him inside of it. You can literally just put him inside. And
that's cool.
He just kind of slides into the flat space.
He can just be in
it.
Cool.
If you want to take him out, it's not hard to take him out.
Very cool.
That's cool. All right. We'll be right back. Stick around.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Switch to Verizon Business and get more from your internet without paying more for your internet. Get LTE Business Internet starting at $39 a month when paired with a Business Unlimited smartphone plan. That's unlimited data, and with it, unlimited possibilities. Start saving today with Verizon Business, ranked #1 in small business internet customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Starting price for 25 megabits per second internet plan with savings, plus taxes, fees, and economic adjustment charge. Terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Each episode of Gen X Grown Up has show notes loaded with links where you can learn more about our topics. And there's even more to see and hear over at GenXGrownUp.com.
No matter how frightfully dirty a house gets, there's always Murphy's Oil Soap. It takes the nightmare out of any job, because this pure, natural cleaner is safe to use on almost any wooden surface, and the results are so dramatic. Now, if Murphy's Oil Soap is not afraid to take on this house, it surely won't be intimidated by yours. And now there's Murphy's Oil Soap in a new, easy-to-use spray formula.
This is the main event of the podcast. For the 3 in attendance locally and the millions listening around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time!
All right, time to talk about games. Mo, let's get started with you. What have you been playing recently?
Sure. I got a game. I think I got it from a spring sale, either Epic or Steam. I forget which. Okay. It's the Ghost of Tsushima. And the easy way for me to describe it, it's Red Dead Redemption in feudal Japan.
Oh, that's very clear. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. You know, you're a samurai, your land is being invaded, and there's bandits around, and there's Mongols who you're attacking. And instead of a gun, of course, you have a sword, and and it has a basic storyline, but you have all these side things you could do as well, just like Red Dead Redemption did. And it was a very, very cool story on top of it, which I liked. Because they said Japan, they're an island off of Japan that's getting invaded by the Chinese, the Mongols. And in order to win, he has to do things which are not considered honorable for a samurai. Like a samurai says, you always face your opponent head on. You don't sneak up on them. And he's like, our people are dying. And the only way I could beat these people is to sneak up on them because I can't beat 30 people by myself. And there's a whole thing with his uncle is like very disappointed in him and you're dishonoring the house. But he's like, what's more important, my honor or saving our people? And, there's a whole dynamic and a whole bunch of stories based around that with it. So they did a really good job of keeping it interesting. Like it's kept me engaged for the whole time. They, if you buy it now, there comes like another DLC that came with it that you can play as well, which just adds more of the same, which is fine in this case. And again, like the big thing for me is like it created a story that you actually care about the characters and the side characters. Even like you start becoming attached to the side characters because they're all very different. They're not all of them are gray. Like no one's like black or white. Like they're all kind of gray personalities like normal people do. So you kind of appreciate that. Interesting. So a really, really fun game.
It kind of feels a little bit like with that that honor and dishonor metric that's in the game. It feels a little bit like Mass Effect as well. If you remember the choices you made in that depended on or helped form how the other characters would interact with your character that you were playing throughout the game. Does that happen in this as well? Like if you do a whole bunch of dishonorable things, will people just like, no, I'm not going to work with you? Or does that not matter?
I don't think it really matters in this one. I think you pretty much, I can't see how you could win by going head on to every single one of these things. I personally just don't see how it can be possible.
Like you're going to have to do the dishonorable thing probably.
Yeah. You pretty much
deal with it in the story. I see.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because some of them are even like, you have to save a hostage. But the second you start, they realize you're there. Their first thing is kill the hostage. Right. Yeah, you could go head on, but the odds of you saving the hostage at that point are probably very small.
Yeah. Is it also kind of like open worldy, like a Grand Theft or Red Dead?
Oh no! Oh yeah, absolutely it is. It's the same. Like there's a big map, and you have like the points that are story points, but then there's all these question marks on the map that you go visit. And there's all these little side things, the side quests, and that kind of stuff.
So how big is it? Like the world compared to like a Grand Theft or a Just Cause or something? Is it comparable? Is that like a big open world? You think, or is it?
It's not nearly that big. Those are huge.
Okay, yeah,
like
more focused.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more focused. It's a smaller island, but it's dense. Like there's a lot of stuff, and you don't have to spend a ton of time traveling. And that's the other thing too I like is that they spent like once you visit a place, you could just jump to it, so you don't have to keep. So it's easier to get around that way, which I think is just a really nice, simple dynamic that I'm not spending hours just traveling from A to B. Which I hate. The challenges are just challenging enough for me, so that they're fun. Like they have one like you have to break bamboo sticks, but you have to hit the keys on your thing right. So maybe left, XX, left, but and it keeps adding to the sequence. You have to do it with a certain amount of time, and they're just hard enough where when you do it, you don't feel like you were frustrated, but when you do it, you still feel like you accomplished something.
Nice balance.
So they did a good balance on that. So I definitely recommend that game.
Cool. Ghost of how do you say it? Tsushima. Got it.
Yep.
Nice.
So that's what I got. So George, what game do you have here? Because I see something against a game that we already know, but I'm a little confused.
Yeah, a little bit. So a long time ago, we found a game that John loves called Utopia Must Fall, and he's done multiple live streams on it, both on Twitch and on YouTube. And we all enjoy that game. It's one of those games where you're absolutely going to die and have to restart. The game is designed that way. It's also a vector graphic game in the truest, best sense of that word and phrase, because all the vectors and the graphics they have that glowy phosphorescent kind of feel that the old Battlezone and Asteroids games had on those monitors. This game is actually from the same company that created Utopia Must Fall. And the reason that I know that is because back when we first found this game, John tasked me with going and reaching out to the publisher, see if we could get some Steam keys to give away in our live stream, which we like to do. I reached out to him a couple of times, never heard anything back. Well, turns out they actually finally did read my email just about 2 or 3 weeks ago and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We just assumed your email was the same as one of these bot emails requesting a bunch of free keys that we get all the time. And so we just ignored it. And then I was going back through my junk box to delete a bunch of stuff, and I decided to take a moment to read a few of them, and I read yours and realized you're not a bot." So he said, "Here's some free giveaway keys," which I've put in the spreadsheet now. And on top of that, he said, "But why I really would like to reach out to you today is we've got a new game that's coming off of alpha right now called Grid Ranger." So it's built on the same engine platform that Utopia Must Fall is. It's another vector graphic game. So it's in that same kind of style and feel. And in this one, I've played it a couple of times. Instead of it being a bottom top up type of battle, it's more like Battlezone where you're moving forward all the time.
3D-ish?
A little bit 3D-ish. And the object is to keep going as far as you can without colliding with objects on the screen.
Oh, okay.
So you're running a grid, right?
Yeah. Like a runner, yeah.
Yeah, and it's you control it with your mouse and your mouse only. Like your mouse does the firing for you when you're able to shoot, and your mouse is all the movement up, down, left, right. So it's got a little bit of a centipede kind of feel in the way that you can move things, but it's on that horizontal plane moving forward in a 3D world. And it's got a little bit of a bullet hell kind of feel to it because you can just hold down your left mouse button and just spray bullets, and there's no running out of them that I've been able to find. Of course, I haven't been able to stay live very long, so maybe I would run out of bullets if I stayed alive longer. You do rack up points for how far you travel and for any enemies that you kill. And I can see that it's, just coming out of alpha stage when I've played it, but it looks to be a very fun game. I know I've put the game keys that they gave to us to use in our spreadsheet. So John, whenever you get a chance, take a look at the game and see if it's maybe something you would want to do for a live stream. But I think if you enjoy Utopia Must Fall, I could see enjoying this as well.
Yeah, I definitely do. Interesting. So it's like they call it the V99 engine or something that they did in Utopia Must Fall that they, I wondered, since it actually advertises this engine when it boots up, I'm like, I wonder if they're going to do more things in it. Why do they call out that? So they are. They're doing more things with it. So yeah. Utopia is very singular in that I haven't found anything quite like it that does it quite as well. So I'm curious to see what they do with a very different type of game, but with that game design mentality. So I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So it's definitely,
I'll check it out.
It's something worth picking up and spending 10 minutes with. And if you last that long, for me, that's 3 games, 10 minutes. But
is it still like the vector graphics? This game is still all vector graphics. It's still all
the same. Okay. That's what I was saying at the beginning. It's built on that same engine. It's
the engine is only for vector. I didn't realize that. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Neat. Yeah.
Well, there's another one that you've been checking out recently and doing a live stream on that you wanted to talk about this week, John. So why don't you start with telling us about an offering from Atari that's real popular right now?
Yeah, I was looking forward to this last time we spoke. In fact, this is Breakout Beyond. We had mentioned that they had this series of recharged games where they take old IP and they're like, Asteroids Recharge. They even did a Breakout Recharge where those are largely just the same game with a new skin and power-ups. That's an oversimplification, but that's kind of what the Recharge series has been. And then we've seen these more evolutions of their classic games in like your Yars Rising and Lunar Lander Beyond. And so now we have this Breakout Beyond. And interestingly, I learned that it initially started life as going to be a title licensed by Atari for the Intellivision Amico, that now doomed platform that was kickstarted and everybody got their money taken and it never came out. But the game was largely finished. So the development company went back to Atari and went, okay, we have this game on a platform that doesn't exist anymore. Why don't we flesh it out and put it back in Atari's wheelhouse? And that's what it is. So, Breakout, you have a paddle at the bottom of the screen, blocks across the top, and you hit this ball. Don't let it get past you. Kill all the bricks. That's what you're doing. Well, in Breakout Beyond, probably the most interesting and divisive change they've made in Breakout Beyond is to take advantage of horizontal monitors that we have now. This game is not played vertically. Your paddle is on the left-hand side of the screen.
Oh.
And you're working your way across the field of bricks, moving to the right.
Okay.
Now, with a Breakout game, a paddle is the best thing to do, and we don't have paddles on our computers. You can drive it with a joystick and adjust the sensitivity. Ideally, what I'm doing, you can use your mouse, which is a true analog controller. It's the next best thing. And it has, I don't know, I looked through maybe 40, 60, 80 levels in it to go through. It's level driven. So they have an arrangement of bricks that you have to figure out how to get from the left-hand side to the goal on the right-hand side. Each level is a oddly spelled Atari reference. Like one of them is Syzygy, which is the first name for Atari when they first started. And like one of them, they want to do a nod to Nolan Bushnell, and the level is like called No Land or something in a weird LAHN spelling. You have to like figure out what the reference is to an Atari game or Atari personality or whatever, just little Easter eggs like that. And like in true Recharge and even like you can say Arkanoid fashion, you start to get power-ups throughout the course of the game. So you work your way across and there you bust down, you might get multi-ball, you might get a shield behind you that blocks the ball. Probably the most interesting thing they did with the power-ups is that in every mini maps, there are, and you see an overview of what the field's going to look like before you start, there are purple bricks that have a question mark on them. And so when you start a level, it's almost like making your loadout. You could pick from a menu, what power-up do you want the purple bricks in this world to be? Do you want them to be multi-ball? Do you want them to be a shield? Do you want them to be the firing the lasers or whatever? And so you can kind of go back to levels after you've unlocked those types of power-ups and plug those into maps to try to give yourself more opportunities to maybe get multi-ball, whatever you find you work best with. So I think in the live stream that I'll give you a link to for the show notes, the live stream that I did, I mentioned it's almost like 2% of a Metroidvania where like I've been through this area, but once I unlock a new power, I could come back and play that level again with this new unlock and do it a little differently. So it has a little bit of replayability in there as well. It's brand new. It just came out right now. And I don't know, a week ago, 2 weeks, it's like a week or two ago, right, George?
Yeah.
It came out. We did the live stream when it first came out. And I had a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of people saying I can't handle Breakout going horizontal, but I just say it's a different game. It's not Breakout. It's Breakout Beyond. Breakout Beyond is played this way. It's a different experience, most certainly, but I found it an enjoyable one. I must have played it for 2 hours live and had a great deal of fun going through the first 24 levels.
So I was going to ask about the horizontal versus vertical because when you use a mouse, going horizontally with your mouse is a little bit easier than going up and down.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I was going to ask, how does that, is that a complication or is that something that's a little bit more hard?
I think very honestly, it does take a little bit of getting accustomed to. Yeah. The nice thing is they have huge sensitivity settings that you can do. Even mid-game, you can hit escape and without even going into options, it says sensitivity right at the very front. So you can adjust that mid-game if you're finding that you're overshooting or undershooting. But yeah, up and down is a little bit different than kind of your left and right mouse movements. There's no question a paddle would be best. But since they're not selling hardware for this, it's the next best thing. Maybe a trackball. You could use a trackball too, I guess. That would also be up and down. You could also use because that's a mouse.
So I kind of have maybe a hardware suggestion for those out there. And I have not tried it. I've played the game a little bit, but I haven't tried this hardware thought that I'm about to suggest. There are a lot of mouses out there for people who have problems with things like carpal tunnel, and my wife has a couple of them because of her stroke. She has difficult, but they're essentially a mouse that's like your hand is on its side, so it's like a vertical orientation for your hand,
like this karate chop, mouse setting. Yeah,
I think if you've got one of those in your dominant hand, moving up and down on that surface on that game might be a little bit easier, because instead of your hand being palm face down, your palm is to the side, and that's a little bit more of a natural motion, I wonder.
Oh, I quite possibly. I'm simulating what you can't see listening is I'm here on camera, like moving my arms back and forth, palm up, trying to feel what it might feel like. I would imagine it's almost like if you had your palm, it's almost like you're hitting it with the back of your hand if you're right-handed, or your palm of your hand left-handed, because it would be vertical. It wouldn't hurt. It would be an improvement too. Yeah, I can see that. They're doing some interesting stuff. We still have a lot of these kind of reimagined Atari games coming. We've got an iRobot coming and a Missile Command coming, and a lot of stuff still coming out. There's still a Fatal Run coming out. A lot of these. I love that they're doing more than just this game with a new coat of paint, but like something in the world of this game and doing something different. And that keeps it fresh for me. So,
yeah, that's very cool.
Breakout Beyond. That's what I was playing. All right, guys. Almost one more segment. We get back. We'll wrap it up. Stick around.
You're the perfect blend of elegance and style, and your ride should be no different. The 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid meets all your needs, from business to brunch and everywhere in between. With head-turning details like a sleek front end, plus stylish interior, and an available 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and seamless tech integration. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more about the new 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid.
Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse, only on Netflix.
If you're a die-hard Gen X grown-up, you can pledge your support by clicking join on YouTube or by becoming a patron at GenXGrownUp.com/Patreon.
Let's work fast before our faces know we're gone. Buy more Tang for your kids.
Only Tang has vitamin C and 4 of the vitamins.
Buy more
Only
Tang.
Tang.
I just bought some. That's funny. We just drank some.
Tang drink with vitamins. The taste your mouth can't wait for.
When it comes to bagging garbage, there's a best way
Hefty, zigzag.
and a second best way. A best way to close, a best way to lift, a best way to carry away.
Hefty, zigzag.
Why settle for second best?
As we come into this last segment of the show, we always like to take a few seconds here to talk about the things that are ahead of us. We're looking at or looking forward to between now and the next time we get together. Let's start with you, Mo. I want to know what you have on the horizon.
There's a movie coming out on the 11th of April, The Amateur, with Rami Malek.
Yeah.
And we're basically, he's like a CIA, cryptographer, but his wife gets killed by terrorists, and he basically blackmails, I guess, the CIA into letting him go after these people and training him. I'm always up for a good underdog revenge story, but this one looks like it's going to be a good movie. I can't really explain why. It just looks like it looks well done. It's got really great actors in it.
Lawrence Fishburne is in it.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne's in it. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Also looking forward to playing Assassin's Creed Shadows. I had one of these weird kind of things where multiple games came out at the same time. So I already got Assassin's Creed Shadows because I knew I was going to. It's the latest in I think it's like the 8th version of the game now, or the 8th incarnation of this game. It also takes place in Japan, oddly enough. So I'm kind of curious to see how those go. It's one of those things I definitely want to play both at the same time because the controls would just confuse me. So I figured I was going to wait until I'm finished this one game and jump on that one. So looking forward to that. The last thing I'm looking forward to is my wife, Amy, her birthday is coming up. And I mentioned earlier that we're kind of trying to get each other experiences rather than things. So we're actually going to be taking a trip to California to go see the giant redwoods. And we're going to be doing some hiking back there to see that. That's something that's on both our bucket lists. So, just looking forward to just doing that and spending some time with her and just seeing something that I heard that once you see it is pretty freaking amazing. So looking forward to that. So that's what I got. How about you, John?
Yeah, I have some stuff that's coming up. First is a film that I'm anxious to see. By the time you hear this, I will have seen it. I'm going to go. It's a horror movie. I love seeing horror movies with my daughter, who's a wonderful horror movie aficionado / snob. And she actually suggested this to me, a new film called The Woman in the Yard. It's kind of it's one of those horror movies in the daylight, which are a little rare. The premise is that this family, it looks like the father has passed away maybe in some accident, and the mother and her two children here in their kind of isolated home. And they look out the front window and there's a woman sitting in a chair in this black shawl, this cloak, you can't see her face, just sitting there. And she won't leave. And what is she? Who is she? What does she represent? Supernatural, something creepy? I don't know. I don't know much about it. I love that about horror movies, but it's something that she brought me to, and I'm going to go check it out. We'll talk about it next time. Next is, this will get probably a lot of people's attention, including my co-host. There's a new game called Elroy and the Aliens that releases April 2nd. Now, there's a trailer out right now. Imagine The Secret of Monkey Island if all the dialogue was fully voiced.
Oh,
it's yeah. Oh, see, I knew it. I knew that it's like a living cartoon. It's all hand-drawn animation with up like 60 voiced characters, and you play this guy named Elroy, who's this he's a Jack Quaid, a likable, goofy inventor guy, right? We've talked about Jack. He would play this in a movie, and he's trying to invent this rocket, and something happens, and aliens encountered. And I played the demo. You go around town, and I need the pieces for my rocket. I need to find the fuel, and I lost the gear. I need the remote control, and talk to this guy to get it. It's a point-and-click adventure in the classic sense, but fully animated and voiced. And I'm looking forward to playing all of it because I played the demo, and it's great fun. And finally, I just realized I didn't know it was coming this soon. The second season of The Last of Us on Max, April 13th. Now, when I watched the first season, I felt complete. Like I saw a complete story. Of course, there's more to do in that world, and of course, we know there were more games to play and the stuff. There's more to happen, but it felt like a nice story. It was finished, but now there's more. So the second season is coming back. I really enjoyed Pedro Pascal in that.
Yeah.
I had never played the games because it was a PlayStation exclusive, but I liked the world and how dire it is and the imagery they use to illustrate terrible things that happen. I like the way it's produced and the production design I find really good in it too. So yes, that's coming April 13th on Max. It's good stuff to look forward to. George, finally, how about you? What do you got on the horizon, man?
First off, I'm still looking forward to some more Alice in Wonderland or Alice Goes to Wonderland pinball updates. We had the Kickstarter, and it's still, I think, happening right now. I think they've got a few days left. But other than their one announcement of, hey, we hit our goal in the first 2 minutes, blah, 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 whatever, we haven't heard anything from them. There have been a lot of detractors in comments on videos I've done for Bit by Bit on the subject, saying that this is going to be a plastic piece of crap. No real pinball enthusiast is going to like it. Stay away from it. All those kind of things. Yeah. I mean, maybe they might turn out to be accurate criticisms when I get the device, if I get the device, because this is Kickstarter. You never know. They might not deliver it at all.
It's pretty high profile. I bet you get it.
But for me, the argument that I've always had is, you can be a pinball enthusiast and maybe not have the room that you need for a real pinball machine.
Oh, yeah.
And this one being an arcade one-up style of pinball, like in other words, it's a reduced size footprint. It's 80% of a regular pinball, makes it a little bit more possible for some of us in smaller spaces, or maybe we got too much stuff in our bigger spaces and we need the extra room. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting some more updates on production and, how they're iterating the line and whatnot. It'll be fun, I think. Yep. Second up, Last of Us Season 2, of course, I'm looking forward to, just like John.
Yeah.
And then finally, on April the 10th, Black Mirror Season 7, I think it is.
Yeah, something like this. Something big.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's coming out on Netflix. They shifted from BBC over to Netflix, I think around Season 3 or something like that. I've been looking forward to it. I've always been checking my my Sonar calendar and everything, and it always just kept telling me Black Mirror is ended. There'll never be any more. And then out of nowhere, I was looking at it the other day, and I'm like, oh crap, there's a new Black Mirror coming out. So looking forward to see what they do with these stories, because that has always been a great anthology series.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, it's killer. Yeah. I didn't realize it was coming up that soon. I'd heard it was coming. I'd heard leaks about what the episodes might be, but it's always, and it's like 4 or 5 awesome little movies in there that are really cool and creepy.
I just think it's amazing how there's so much content out there now that even something as big as this, we kind of like, oh, I didn't even see this coming.
Yeah. Well, there's so much to keep track of. Well, how could you possibly know all this stuff, right? Even with all the apps that we've got and releases.com and stuff, it's just an inundation of, you got to find those cool things and nuggets that are in there. Before we wrap it up, though, I want to take just a second to thank another amazing individual who decided they wanted to support what we do over on Patreon. I want to thank you, Todd H. That's Todd with 1D, in case you're keeping notes. Todd went over to Patreon at patreon.com/GenXGrownUp, opened up his heart and his wallet, and decided to put a monthly financial pledge to support Gen X Grown Up and support what we do here on the podcast, on YouTube, over on the website, and everywhere that we putting out content. Todd, thank you for making that commitment. You're joining a roster of dozens, if not 100 or so, amazing folks who also, like you, know that we do what we do and give it away for free, but also want to support the arts and ensure that we're able to continue to deliver what we do on a timely basis to you. So, Todd, for that, we hats off to you. Thank you so much. We're so appreciative for you. That then will wrap it up for this edition of the show. Don't worry, though, we'll be back in 2 weeks with another one. And next week is our backtrack. That's where we take a single nostalgic topic and dig in deep on it. George, would you do the honors and let the fourth listener know what is coming their way next week?
Yeah, it's time to head back to the future, go back to 1985 and relive a moment in time where everybody was feeling good about everybody else in this Gordon Gekko greed-infested world and trying to give back to the starving people of Africa. We're going to highlight, talk about one incredible night in the music industry, and go over the We Are the World song and USA Aid for Africa movement.
Wow.
Yeah.
40 years.
Tremendous. Yeah. I've learned a lot about it since we started planning this backtrack, and it's inspiring. It's uplifting. It's an amazing story. So I'm sure you will enjoy that. Please join us. Until then, I am John. George, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, sir.
Mo, you know I appreciate you.
Always fun, man.
Fourth listener, it's you we all appreciate most of all, though. We can't wait to talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Take care, everybody.
No life, no fun. Don't you know that you're a grown-up?
Gen X Grown Up is a member of the Evergreen Podcast family. Learn more at evergreenpodcasts.com.
Watching shows till sunrise. Unacceptable for grown-ups. Your dinner cannot just be French fries. Basically, life sucks as a grown-up.
It was the guy with the orange glasses from Civil War, and he's what's her name's husband. Like, I can't think of all the people. Mary Jane. Fucking names are terrible. The girl who played Mary Jane in the first Spider-Man, whatever her name, Kirsten Dunst. Kirsten Dunst's husband was the guy in that sci-fi, whatever his name is. I can't think of his name, but yeah. They're all just references to the guy who knows the lady from the
person and the cousin of the
right. What is his name? Kirsten Dunst's husband. Kirsten Dunst's husband is named Jesse Plemons. Got it.
What else have I seen him in?
Well, did you see Civil War?
Yes.
The scary one, not the Marvel movie.
Yeah. The one about USA falling into our future. Yeah.
Right. He was the guy with like the orange blue blocker glasses who was scary where they're burying the bodies and he shot the guy.
Oh, yeah. What is that the guy who asked like what what
kind of American are you? Exactly. That's Jesse Plemons.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. Yeah, he's been all over.
He was also in Breaking Bad.
Science! Hello, podcast fans. Want to get weird with us? Come check out the Mad Scientist Podcast. We're a weekly show that looks at the history, philosophy, and hard facts behind your biggest paranormal questions.
Did the government really pay for a psychic spy program?
Yes!
Is it true that surgery got its start in grave robbing?
Yes!
Can a roller coaster really kill you?
Legally, we can't say so for sure, but sometimes, yes! Join myself, Chris Cogswell, and my co-host, Marie Mayhew, as we examine the science, philosophy, and history behind the strange and unusual. All to discover what's possible and plausible versus what's, well, just made up. Check us out wherever you find your favorite podcasts. The Mad Scientist Podcast.
Well, hey, podcast listener. My name is Vince, and I'm the host of a show called The RR Show. It stands for Reddit Readings. We're going to sit down twice a week, and I'm going to bring you the most entertaining stories from all of the best subreddits that exist online. Things like malicious compliance, petty revenge, hey, lady, I don't work here. Oh, there's so much more. Lots of great stories and things you won't believe. Like the one time this dude was caught in a bathroom with his friend, and he was slapping them because that was the only way that he could actually legitimately help them. A mall cop comes in with a taser. Oh, yeah, the rest is history. It's going to be fun. There's, I don't know, I got like 20 seconds left, so I don't got much more time to tell you another story. But just join me on The RR Show. It's from Evergreen Podcast, produced in partnership with Wessler Media. So The RR Show, wherever you get podcasts, subscribe today. And it's like an adult story time. Let's hang out together. The RR Show. Subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts.